old PS1 games have that distinct feel to them that you can never truly find anywhere else. You'll either have the greatest time of your life flying through the air or dying multiple times by falling to the ravine because a bridge you try to walk on won't let you walk, or you just phase through it. But I'm talking about old PS1 horror games. And if you were playing them alone in the dark back in the day, was similar to getting yourself the death sentence. If you were a true gamer, you'd let your brother play the game. Well, I'm only slightly joking at that part. But old PS1 horror just has that uncertain, uncanny vibe that I haven't seen in any other console generation. You see literal polygons that look like humans, but just look slightly off to the point that whatever happens in the game becomes 10 times more scarier because of that. I mean, not to mention the enemies as well that are in said game, making all those noises, all groaning and moaning, all exacerbated. The one thing about every PS1 horror game, if not all of them, is the little music cues that have within them. And if they have the atmosphere correctly, can just use silence. Silence is the most effective thing a horror game can do. Not to say that a good soundtrack or ambience don't help the game at all, when done well. Yeah, that's haunting. But for the very few that can pull this off, waiting, listening, hoping to hear something other than that silence. Is a jump scare gonna happen? Is there another monster out of the corner of my eye? Or maybe it's leading up to something, anything. But no. You never get that payoff until, well, you randomly encounter an enemy. But even then, that tension goes away as soon as something is there. It's that uncertainty of knowing something is coming, but never knowing when. Since we're on the topic of old PS1 games, I want to talk about this one point that gave me nightmares as a kid, or at the very least scared me whenever I saw my brother play this game. And this is none other than the very first Resident Evil game. And we all know what we're going to talk about from here, aren't we? You open the door. You see something making a crunch noise in front of you, a humanoid figure hovering on top of someone. Then stops. He stops eating as he notices your presence and turns around to see you with his cold, gray, and dead eyes. Believe me, this one scene right here, even if I was with my brother, who also played the game at the time, I would always go out of the corner of the room or go out just not to let the zombie see me. I mean, look at it! His face is withering. There's blood splattered on his mouth and those cold eyes, those damn cold eyes he stares down at you with. I had nightmares and dreams of just that one scene, and it felt like an eternity just living through them. I'd wake up and just close my eyes in my bedroom hoping that this monster, this zombie, was not out to get me. I also want to point this out. I'm talking about the original PS1 Resident Evil game, whether it be the director's cut or just the normal game with this zombie. There have been remakes of this game that make the mansion look oh so beautiful, but the fact of the matter is, why I don't use that as a reference, is, well, the zombie in those remakes looks like a zombie. And I mean the whole undead, moving eye, the state of decay and unliveliness. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the original captures that feeling of something that's still human, knowing that it's human, and even stares at you knowing that you're there, rather than just blankly looking back at you. PS1 horror games, in the end, have that timeless feel to them, despite the fact that they're literally polygons. It's just something that you cannot really replicate, even with modern consoles that do horror games. There's just something charming seeing polygons either tell you a story or show you the horrors of the world that you're in. And I'm not alone in this thinking, as there are many video games, horror style, that have that polygon old graphic PS1 look to them. And some of them are praised for how scary that they actually are, but that's another tangent for another day.